All right, let's dive into the wild, wild west of crypto advice on social media. We've all seen them, right? The tweets, the videos, the big personalities promising you'll get rich off the next big coin.
It's the big question, isn't it? You're scrolling through your feed, you see some influencer hyping up a coin you've never heard of, and they're promising it's about to go to the moon. But can you actually trust them?
Well, today we're going to cut right through all that noise. We're going to look at a massive academic study that put these influencers to the test. Because, the promises are huge, but the data tells a very different story.
So, first things first. To really get why these influencers are so popular, you have to understand the world they live in. Think of it like a modern-day gold rush. It is chaotic, and everybody's looking for a map.
Let's be honest. For most people, the crypto market is just overwhelming. There are thousands and thousands of options, and it's not like the mainstream financial news is covering most of them. This creates a huge vacuum, a demand for guides, for people who seem to know what they're doing.
And the scale here is just staggering. We're talking over 13,000 different crypto tokens out there. Now, to put that in perspective, that is more than double the number of stocks on the NASDAQ and the New York Stock Exchange combined. It's a total digital jungle, and influencers? They're perfectly positioned to be our guides.
So, how do we know if these guides are leading us to treasure or just straight off a cliff? Well, for that, we have to turn to the data.
And we're not just guessing here. Our source for all of this is a super rigorous study from a top academic journal. These researchers didn't just cherry-pick a few examples. Nope. They did a massive, systematic analysis of what happens when influencers talk and the market listens.
And just look at the sheer scale of this work. We're talking nearly 36,000 tweets from 180 different influencers, covering almost 1,700 unique cryptos over 2 years. So this isn't about stories or anecdotes. This is a powerful, data-driven look at their actual impact.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting. The first thing the study found was a pattern that actually seems to prove the influencers right. When they tweet, something definitely happens.
This is the hook. This is what gets people excited. The data shows that when an influencer mentions a coin, it creates a real trading signal that people jump on. It looks like if you're fast enough, you can actually make some money.
And here's the number to back it up. On the very day an influencer tweets about a coin, its price jumps an average of 1.83%. Now, for some of those smaller, more obscure coins, that single-day return could even shoot up to almost 4%. At first glance, you're thinking, hey, this is a winning strategy.
This is that moment, right? The price is pumping, everyone's buzzing, and it feels like that promise of getting rich quick is actually coming true. But what happens if you don't sell right away? What if you hold on?
This is where the whole story completely flips. That initial spike, it's not just a temporary high. It's actually the setup for something much, much worse.
So the researchers didn't just stop at day one. They looked at what happened in the days and weeks that followed. And this is where the advice goes from looking kind of promising to looking actively dangerous for anyone who actually believes in the long-term hype.
And here it is, the brutal reality. On average, those same coins are down a staggering 6.53% just 1 month later. That initial gain? It's not just gone, it's completely swallowed by a pretty significant loss.
This timeline lays it all out, plain and simple. You get that initial excitement on day 0, but the fall is fast. By just day 5, you're already losing money, and by day 30, you're deep in the red. It is a classic, predictable rise and fall. Let's put some real money on this, okay? Say you invest $1,000 into one of those smaller, non-top 100 coins that get all the hype. Based on this pattern, you'd be down an average of $79 in just 1 month. For the person following the advice, it's a consistent, money-losing strategy.
So you might be wondering, are all influencers the same? Does all their advice lead to this? Well, the study dug even deeper to find out what factors make this whole pattern even more dangerous.
And the data pointed to 3 huge red flags to watch out for. The losses get even worse when the tweets come from self-proclaimed experts, from influencers with massive followings, and of course, when they're pushing those smaller, more obscure coins. Now, here's the really counterintuitive part, the so-called experts. You would think their advice would be better, wouldn't you? Nope. The study found that these self-described experts actually create a bigger initial price spike, but it's followed by even deeper long-term losses. Their advice is, believe it or not, the most unprofitable to follow.
So after looking at all this data, what's the bottom line?
What should you walk away with?
We can basically call this whole thing the influencer effect. It's not random, it's a clear data-backed pattern. You get a short-term pump that looks like a great tip, but it's almost always followed by a long-term dump that leaves followers holding the bag.
So the next time you're scrolling and you see that can't-miss, to-the-moon crypto tip, just remember this data. Ask yourself, is this really an opportunity, or is it a very well-disguised trap?